Why's he got daggers coming out of his mouth?
How big is that? Is that to scale? Seriously?
Oh my gosh. I don't care. I don't like spiders at all. Oh my god. Oh my.
The sex life of giant prehistoric spiders the size of a dinner plate. It doesn't get any sexier than that.
It's fantastic.
Oh, cool. Wonderful.
Spiders I love. I love spiders. They're very affectionate. They lick your face when you're feeling down. Oh no, that's dogs. So I get confused.
Hello everyone, and yeah, thanks for sitting in on looking at that behind the scenes glimpse of the film. As Sean just said, my background is as a biologist. I worked for a long time for the Tasmanian government working on endangered species management. I got to work in fantastic places on a whole range of species from small to big, and throughout all that time caves remained a real passion to me and sort of the background of working on this really unusual spider. About 10 years ago we decided to make the 16 Links film, not knowing at the time what that would entail. When you work with animals, nothing quite goes to plan, and we had a lot of struggles along the way, ultimately to get a fantastic product, and we've just sort of seen a glimpse of one of those struggles, but there were certainly plenty of other struggles which we'll talk about in the current question and answer session. Yep. Thank you.
So you didn't receive footage of them doing the deed until your second year of filming, but then you also obtained enough footage to see patterns in their mating. So did this correlate with the mating season, or was it just so happened that you started mating a lot more in the second year?
Okay. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the issue to start with was, as Joe mentioned in that behind the scenes bit, spiders don't like light or heat or disturbance. And because the male spider's basically putting his life at risk to do this, and because they're so long lived, and these spiders live for decades, so they don't have to mate right at that moment. They can just outlast you. They can just sit and wait it out until you go away, and then it's all nice and dark again. And it's, you know, you can sort of take the risk under good conditions. And so initially the problem was, yeah, they just weren't doing anything. And so Joe had to, a couple of things happened at once. Firstly, Joe was becoming familiar with different spiders. So in the cave, some of the spiders are real extroverts and some aren't. So there's some that will eventually do it with the lights on and some that will never do it with the lights on. And he started to work out which couples they might be. So he started to follow the extroverts more. And at the same time, he was really testing the camera equipment and plunging the light as low as he could so that we could still get footage but not disturb the spiders as much. We didn't want to use infrared light because it's horrible to watch. You can't watch that sickly green image for very long. It causes editors problems because you get shadows and all sorts of other things that are really hard when you edit sleep. We did use some red light, so spiders detect red light but not doesn't disturb them as much, so you still see some shots under the thread. And Joe Shopaway shot the sort of safety range of footage under red light for filming with a white light. Once he worked out how to get those shots, then it was almost the floodgates open. So we got that first mating, and then we got a whole ton of other matings. And so sort of once the secret was broken, it got a lot better. And then by the end of the next challenge we had after that was we were after other behaviours. So we've now got the mating footage. We wanted exact production, we wanted spiderlings emerging, which is in the full film, a whole host of other behaviours. And then also big epic cave shots, because what you've seen is all the close-in stuff on the spiders. We had to then fight the challenge of going out and getting those shots where you're in huge caverns, and the problem is completely different because you're trying to light those caverns and they just absorb all the light. And while we're doing that, there's spiders mating all over the place because they're now we don't need that footage. Yeah, they're up to it everywhere. Yeah.
I noticed what you were saying at the end, how this footage has helped your research more generally. Can you talk about anything that you've discovered?
Yeah, the footage really has helped inform the research. So the mating of the spiders was published, the process was all published in the scientific literature in 2001, based on those dodgy field notes that we saw in the film. We subsequently got better photos, but the footage just goes to such a new level when Joe filmed such extraordinary footage. Because of the resolution of that footage, you can zoom right in, you can see things in really, really fine detail. And then we started noticing things that you don't normally notice. If you go back and watch some of that footage of the male approaching the female, when he's in her web, his abdomen just waggles around. It's just this little vibration pattern, and we were noticing that in the footage. And we were thinking, what's going on there? Is he just nervous? What's this little twitch? And as it happened at about that time, at Macquarie University, they've been studying more advanced spiders and finding that the males were wagging their abdomens in the web. And that's setting up this resonance pattern in the web that reduces female aggression. And they were saying, we'd love to know if you see that in the cave spider. Sure enough, it's riddled right through the footage. We're getting other behaviours that we didn't know about. Egg sac construction. It's a really intricate process to build that internal structure in the egg sac. And we're now seeing how the female's doing that and how she's pacing herself. So we know that the female is using her body size to produce the size of the egg sac. Her palps are touching the egg sac on one side, that gives her the front of it, and then her abdomen's touching on the other side. So the size of the egg sac is very carefully constructed as well. And we're starting to see how carefully they actually behave. And there's a lot of data. This project, because ultimately the whole 16 weeks filming took 7 years. So 2 years for the mating footage, 7 years all up. That's about, because that's all in 5K resolution, that's 52 terabytes of data, which we've stored in triplicate. So there's a lot of footage to trawl through to find these secrets, but there's a whole ton of biological information in there just because that footage is so good.
Kind of going off that question, can you speak a little bit about what your future plans are going forward?
Future plans, yeah. Well, this project's dominated a lot of my life. We would like to study a lot more with the spider, and it's time for sort of the next generation to spend time in the caves. There's a lot of things we don't know. There's a lot of secrets in the silk, and Sean and his group, and Dakota, one of the students, are looking at the silk in the secrets of the silk. There's another group, research group based in Germany. Peter Bacalek and his team found that there is actually nervous tissue in the palps of the spiders, which is a big bit of information. This textbook information is that male spider palps have no nervous tissue, which means the males are getting any feedback or sensation of the act of mating. But these spiders do have nervous tissue in them. We want to understand what that means. And we think it's because they're in a cave-core environment. The resource of producing sperm is expensive. They don't want to waste it, and they've got to get things aligned properly in the dark. There's a lot of information in the extracts themselves, and how does that silk protect those egg masses for 9 months in an environment that's really overrun with fungus very, very quickly. Why do these spiders mature so slowly? So every time we sort of get a piece of the puzzle, it just triggers more questions. And I'd love to be sending more students into the caves to follow that information. In a production sense, we are touring with film at the moment, so it's now in that phase where we get out, we show the film around the place. It's funny, for the last couple of years I've been watching the main film so much, I haven't actually watched the behind the scenes film for quite a long time, so I was quite pleased to see it still holds up quite nicely. But both films have quite a good sense of humour in them too, because that's a good way to engage with the audience. And talking about the sex life of giant spiders, you've got to have fun with that. And yeah, so at the moment it's a mixture of identifying research to go forward with. There's plenty of groups interested in doing sections of that work, and also sort of spreading the message to the public. And sort of where I come from the book, and the aim is to get the public more engaged with these sort of stories that you haven't heard about.
So since these spiders can just stand still forever, what do they like eat? Like, what is their like food pattern and intake and energy expenditure?
Yeah, so they're really good at just sort of going into this torpor-like state and just switching off and just sitting there. And the prime, they'll eat whatever they can catch, basically. And in the caves, these spiders are the top predators, which is unusual because in most ecosystems, spiders are really important predators, but they're not usually at the top of the food chain. In Tasmanian caves, we don't get bats. Bats are forest roosters, not cave roosting bats. So that's a major change to most of the caves around the planet. It seems to be driven by the fact that because the caves sit at the average annual temperature of the region in which they're found, Tasmanian caves are just that little bit too cold for bat young to develop properly, or to come out of their own torpor. So the spiders really dominate in this environment. So they'll eat whatever they can catch, and they build these big horizontal sheet webs that can be metres across. They're absolutely enormous, and the spider just runs on the underside of that. It's a horizontal web because they're trying to catch things falling off the roof of the cave, not things flying through, so that's why it's in this different pattern. And the main item is cave crickets are a major prey item for them because that's what's really abundant in the caves, but anything that goes into that web will be at risk. And they don't have to eat that often because they've got this really low metabolic rate, they're really long-lived. A single big cricket will keep a spider going for the best part of a year if it has to. And we've watched females guard those egg sacs that don't go away from that egg sac in that period. So they're not eating anything, they're just sitting there switching off and defending the egg sac when they have to. That's fascinating stuff. There's a lot of interest in that particular group of spiders. So if I don't know how familiar you are with spider taxonomy, but there's a big break in spiders where you've got sort of the ancient spiders, which are things like the big tarantulas and the bumblebes and sort of ancient Mygalian moth spiders, and then more advanced spiders, which is everything else you might find in your garden. And these spiders, the cave spiders and their relatives, sit right at that junction point when this would happen. Also, we believe, but the closest relatives to Pygmalion, it's only found in Tasmania, but it's very abundant throughout the state. Closest relatives are believed to be in Chile and Argentina. There is another group of spiders sort of from around that break point that are found in New Zealand and Eastern Australia, but they're a little bit removed from those relatives in South America. There's a little bit of genetic work that's being done, sort of throwing up some questions about that. And Robert Raven, who's one of the big spider taxonomists in Australia, has also raised questions about linkages between Tasmanian cave spider and Southeast Asian primitive spiders. So the jury is a little bit out on how it all fits together. And the problem is we're trying to look back 250 million years plus, and so it's really, it's sort of lost in those mists of time. And spiders don't preserve very well in fossil records, so there's some spider fossils, but not very many. The soft-bodied abdomen doesn't preserve very well. There are really good amber collections of spiders, but that sort of comes in a bit later. You have to wait for savanna to appear in the fossil record before it catches anything. So anything prior to 250 million years ago is really hard to work out. There have been people working on the South American spiders, and yeah, it'd be fascinating to see where that goes. And, but the group all tends to be a similar build. They're big spiders, long-legged, and sort of live in these wet, dark environments. Yeah.
So are they not dangerous?
Well, we always get that question. They're a big spider, so you don't want to be bitten by it because it's got big fangs, and so it will hurt and it will do physical damage. But it's quite a docile spider. As you saw it handling them, it takes quite a bit to get them to want to bite. Their main reaction is just to fold up and pretend they're dead. There are only 3 recorded bites that we're aware of, and they're cases who accidentally were reaching into places they couldn't see and just put their hands right on the spider. And those bites, yes, sort of hurt, but don't seem to have had long-lasting effects on the venom, or sort of nothing major. So while spiders have venom, it doesn't seem to be a particularly big problem in humans, but it's best to avoid being bitten by something like big.
I would say I've handled a lot of different spiders and watched the behaviours of a lot of different spiders. I think Hickmania is the most docile one I've ever come across. They're very placid. You can handle them. And
they're they're beautiful spiders. They're really very graceful, and they're a good entry point for people who don't actually, even though they're big. People who don't like spiders often say, that's a nice spider. So you're biologists, or is there any sort of people with any filmmakers in the audience? Yeah. So you'll be reasonably sympathetic to some of the challenges. I mean, hats off to Joe. He got a taste of his cinematography in there, but the effort that Joe put into filming the full project is absolutely astounding. We had, you saw what it took to get the footage of making Spider, but even just the logistics of those big epic cave shots I mentioned. There's one cave where Tasmanian Parks and Wildlife allowed us to film in that's closed to all the most experienced cavers, and only 72 people a year are allowed into that cave because it's dangerous, but it's also of high conservation significance. And we had to work with Joe to plan, it was almost a military operation, how we go in within the constraints that we were allowed to work in, get the footage we needed, and get back out in a short amount of time for those sequences. And Joe was an absolute trooper for 7 years to film this project. And it's really nice that behind the scenes film puts him in the limelight, because the main films doesn't. Joe's behind the camera for that. So it's good to sort of give him that moment. It just highlights that with all of these things you watch in the natural world, it's very difficult to really comprehend what the crew's went through to get those epic shots in that moment that finally see it as beautiful. So yeah, hats off to you. Well, so the resolution of 5K, it's funny watching Joe talk about that, because that was sort of the cutting edge at the time, and now you've got cameras at 8K, etc. Which, realistically, Joe was filming the XAT construction, one of the problems was even 5K chews through your storage capacity on the memory card. So yeah, he's filming that from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock the next morning. He's got to make decisions about what can I record, because I don't know how long this will take. I might miss key moments towards the end if I consume all of the memory space now. And you mentioned that in that film that the camera was surprisingly well behaved despite being in a moist, dark environment full of dust. But other stuff not so much. So, you know, other materials rotted away in the course of that 3-month period, the intense 3-month period. Batteries did not respond well to being in a cold environment, so battery power was always a big problem. But the depth of the footage is fantastic, and that gives us that high resolution. So we were future-proofing ourselves by going to 5K at the start, and now it's sort of, you know, now ultra-high definition is available, coming into the consumer marketplace. You know, we're still in pace with that, but we're sort of, yeah, it was a good decision to do that. Probably the other main technological change is LED lighting. You know, you can light a lot more, you can get a lot more out of batteries without generating heat, because heat would have been a killer for this project. And anything that sort of makes stuff smaller, because if you're going into a cave, you're trying to squeeze it through narrow passages and tight squeezes, and yeah. Cavers refer to a really tight passage as a squeeze, and to put this in perspective, I'm going through one passage, some of this research work. You look at me and I could only fit through this passage by exhaling and that let me slip through, because if I took a breath in, I'd be pressing against the rock and I couldn't move. And the only reason I knew I could fit through was that the other guys had got through, and I'm thinking, but they're wider than me, so there must be a way to get through here. And so Joe's taking equipment in through passages like that. And so anything that's small doesn't get snagged or bolted.
Okay, that's all the questions. Thank you to Neil.